Team. Got it.
Zach, let's have some fun, bud.
Yeah. Okay. I am live. My stream is now visible to everyone. Can you hear me, John?
I can hear you. Yes, all
Great.
set.
Gotta love new conferencing tools. All right. So it sounds like we got a bunch of people on at this point. So first off, I want to welcome to everyone who's joining us today. Thank you for joining. Today's webinar is really geared to Salesforce customers and partners who are trying to deliver modernization and digital transformation as quickly as possible within the public sector and in an environment where now more than ever, we're all being asked to do more with less. My name is Zach Bayer. I'm responsible for Copado's public sector go-to-market business. I've been here for 7 years, and I've been working in the Salesforce ecosystem for about 14 years. It's a privilege every day to be doing our part to help government agencies be more responsive to the needs of constituents through technology modernization. I'm joined today by John Kane. John's a world-class solution engineer who currently leads strategic partnership enablement and training for Copado. He's got 20 years of IT consulting experience. He's been at Copado for almost 6 years now, I think. And I'm going to be very excited to turn things over to him in a couple of minutes so that we can introduce all of you to what we are now calling our intelligent DevOps platform. Okay? From an agenda perspective, though, and from a housekeeping perspective, I'll be providing a quick overview of what makes Copado tick before John kicks off the demo. We're going to do our best to support some interaction throughout the demo. So if you have any questions for me or John, please submit those through the Q&A link or the attendee chat on the right. We're also planning to have some time at the end of the presentation for some Q&A. We're also going to serve up a couple of poll questions throughout the presentation. So please keep your eye out for those. Speak of the devil. There's one right now. I'll let you take a look at that. We're trying to better understand who our audience is today. Okay. Before we get started with the demo, as mentioned, I want to highlight a few things about Copado. First off, when it comes to servicing the public sector, Copado's main goals for our customers and partners have always been to help eliminate delivery obstacles, to help accelerate time to value when it comes to delivering digital transformation on Salesforce. And with the increasing pressure for workforce optimization and efficiency and the need for cost optimization, now more than ever, our goal is to provide our customers and partners with solutions that help you increase efficiency and lower the cost associated with delivering digital transformation on Salesforce. We are able to deliver on these goals by providing an end-to-end DevOps platform that's purpose-built for Salesforce to support the entire plan, build, test, release, and operate process, the entire software development lifecycle. Our platform includes products to support project planning, CI/CD, automated testing, robotic process automation, and intelligent AI agents that are purpose-built for Salesforce DevOps that help you increase productivity and efficiency through every stage of the software development lifecycle. All of this is a major differentiator from a product perspective. But in addition to all the product differentiation, it's also important to note that we're the only DevOps solution for Salesforce that's FedRAMP authorized. This is kind of a big deal in the public sector, as I'm sure all of you know. Copado's been around for about 13 years now. From a size perspective, we have over 1,000 customers, over 100,000 community members. Based on our revenue, we're actually a top 5 Salesforce ISV globally. When it comes to investing in the public sector, and the public sector ecosystem, we place a significant amount of emphasis on partnerships. This includes partner programs where we've made and will continue to make significant investments in enablement, training, and certification on both using Copado, but also on implementing Copado. And then speaking of partnerships, our partnership with Salesforce is obviously integral to our strategy and to our success. Salesforce is not only a partner, they're also an investor and a customer. And not everybody knows that. But now you do. And then finally, when it comes to our track record in the public sector, it's important to know that you're not alone. We have over 75 federal, state, and local government customers in both the United States and Canada. In some cases, we're used on an agency by agency basis. In other cases, there may be a state center of excellence that's standardized on Copado to support the entire state's Salesforce development. In order to streamline the government procurement process, we've also established partnerships and reseller agreements with US-based Carasoft and Canadian-based DCI so that Copado can be procured on multiple contract vehicles. As we all know, the public sector procurement process is in many cases the long pole in the tent. So why are we hosting this webinar today? So let's just zoom out for a moment and take a look at the bigger picture, right? Across both federal and state governments, there's a clear and urgent mandate: operate with greater efficiency. Agencies are under intense pressure to deliver faster, reduce costs, eliminate waste, and embrace AI. This isn't just strategy anymore, it's policy. The momentum behind this is growing fast. In fact, over 16 states have launched efficiency-focused task forces this year alone. You're seeing states like Florida driving AI deregulation, others like Texas and Iowa using AI to uncover efficiencies in government processes. California is proceeding with caution, but they've issued an executive order directing state agencies to study, pilot, and responsibly deploy AI and Gen AI tools across the state government. All of this is fueling a shift from traditional transformation to measurable outcome-driven innovation. It's not just about modernizing, it's about optimizing. Ultimately, this drive for efficiency is about delivering better services faster and with more transparency to the public. So how does Copado support this shift? Well, we're here today to drive awareness for how Copado is helping customers and partners meet these mandates and deliver real, tangible results. This is now where I'm going to turn things over to John, who's going to walk you through how Copado is helping government agencies meet these mandates and deliver these results with Copado AI and org intelligence. So, looks like your screens are up at this point, John. Mine are down. I'll let you take it from here.
Zach, perfect. Thank you very much. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and continue this conversation. A couple of things that came to mind, though, as Zach was speaking, was the efficiency task force with those 16 states. And so as we continue this conversation, and I showed you Copado AI, the platform, its agents, we'll talk about the SDLC. Keep in mind the efficiency gains, the productivity gains that you're about to see, because that's something that if we had this discussion 2 years ago, this would not be possible. So today, keep in mind the efficiencies, the productivity gains that you're going to see with Copado AI and the digital team of agents that we bring to your organization. All right, so speaking of efficiency gains, productivity gains, let's just first talk with the experience that our customers are having with Copado AI. And so we're not going to walk through all of the content here on the slide, but let's just go high level the productivity gains we're seeing. And we'll start with, if we think about the SDLC, we'll start with the planning phase, so intake. A task of generating a user story, right? So generating a user story, I see that we do have a handful of admins. We have developers on the call today, some architects. When we generate user stories, we know it takes time, right? Just typing at 40 words per minute is going to take you, 8 to 10 minutes just to type the content out. But then there's generating the content, making sure it's consistent, quality. What we're seeing now is what might take, and if I were to poll the group, which I will not, how long would it take, a typical user story to be written within your organization? It comes back at 45 minutes, roughly, give or take, depending on who's writing what, the experience, et cetera. You're going to see here with Copado AI, we're getting that down to less than a minute. Now, the same thing along the lines is what about manual test cases, which will be driven from, say, a user story, right? So we'll have the user story. Maybe we'll have some behavior-driven development as part of that story, some Gherkin scenarios that we can then leverage into tests to write a manual test script. It might take 45 to an hour for a developer perhaps to write that. So again, we're looking at some significant time savings when we can do that within a minute. And so this couple of the examples that we'll focus on today, user story generation and then manual test scripts, I think will give you a great idea as to the power of Copado AI and the efficiencies gained. Now, below you're going to see some quotes, what we've heard about Copado AI agents. And so I'm not going to talk through all of them, but I did want to highlight a few. The first one here was where we had a global partner taste test us, Copado AI, against the GitHub Copilot and Agentforce. And Copado AI was significantly better. In that particular case, they inserted a small bug, only ours found it. That's one example. Along those same lines here, this is something for the developers on this call. This had to do with test classes for Apex. And what would have taken, and this is a direct quote, what would have taken 3 developers to do, and it would have taken them 3 days. So 3 developers over 3 days, this individual did in 5 hours, leveraging Copado AI and our build agent in test cases. So a lot of power there. Now that talks about speed. We talk about productivity and efficiency gains, but down here is interesting. And this was taken from an internal team member of Copado's, whereas we started using Copado AI to generate user stories internally. Now we did not tell our development team that we were doing so. Now, while the BAs were happy, the speed, the consistency, quality, the development team is what came back to the team lead saying, look, I don't know what's happening, what you guys did, but these user stories are awesome. Keep it going. And it was the consistency, the quality of those user stories coming across the board, all written in the same form and fashion to the same guidelines, that all of a sudden those one-off clarification meetings between a developer and a BA to clarify what exactly is we're building, how, so on and so forth, those details, they were already a part of the user story up front because Copado AI generated in such that quality fashion. A lot more that we could talk about, but we don't have all day, so I'm going to continue on. But this will give you some ideas of the productivity gains we're seeing, user story creation, manual test scripts, and of course the quotes we're hearing from the market. Continuing on, there's other aspects of Copado AI that it can deliver from a deliverable perspective, and you're going to see that. And Zach, don't let me forget, I'd like to show the video of all of our agents working together that I captured for Dreamforce. That'll show a lot of the deliverables being generated based on analysis within the org. But here's some examples of other documentation that's being developed, created by Copado AI, and of course the gains are immense. High level, teams are working 3x faster. What used to be a full week of work can now be done in less than 2 days. So you're going to see Copado AI, org intelligence specifically, which is the ability to understand all of the code within that environment, that Salesforce environment. But you're going to see now the productivity gains, the efficiencies that Zach mentioned, and these states are taking up these task force. Use your imagination on how you can apply this to your own particular team and workflow.
Yeah, and John, I just jump in real quick because, these efficiency and productivity gains that you're sharing here, these are coming out of, Copado AI without even turning on the org intelligence feature, right? So this is pre-org intelligence. Which we've had in place for, probably close to a year at this point, if not a little bit more. The big new, kind of like, product update here is around org intelligence, which is, big reason why we're hosting this webinar. And I suspect that, those types of, productivity and efficiency numbers are going to continue, you're going to see continuous improvement around, all the efficiency and productivity that you can get, out of AI now that we have org intelligence. But let me let you explain a little bit more about what that means.
No, perfect. And you're spot on with that, Zach. We're actually building that context into it. So yes, you're 100% on. In fact, if we talk about org intelligence here, harnessing the power of Copado AI, what does Zach mean when he mentions org intelligence? Well, there's AI, Copado AI, of course, that we're typically used to AI, and of course we're getting inundated in the market. But Copado is different. We now, with org intelligence, are able to integrate with an existing environment, and doing so, understand everything within that org. And so it'll help out with the discovery, the analysis aspect, dependency mapping, understanding, for example, if you generate data dictionaries, architecture, solution design documents, things of that nature, and recommendations. And that's a point, Zach, that you mentioned here is how we're going to improve by building on the org intelligence. We're now baking into Copado AI, and the workflow is these intelligent recommendations, not generic recommendations built on best practices, which of course you get with Copado AI, but now it's built in the context is specifically your environment, your applications, that now we can really iterate because we understand fully what an application consists of, its components, its workflow, etc. So now we're iterating with and ideating with Copado AI with a full understanding of what's in your organization, your environment.
Right. And so I know you're going to get into this, but the question that folks should be thinking or asking themselves is, how much time does it take to understand and maintain your org's complexity? So as you start to see, how org intelligence, helps you to do that, you can pretty quickly, I think, come to the conclusion relative to how much time this feature could save you.
Yep, no, that's a good point, and I'm going to support that. As we go through this, everybody on the call, think about how long would this take my team to do so today, or so on and so forth within that workflow. It's an important question because again, 2 years ago we couldn't be doing what we are going to see today, so it's a lot of fun, very powerful question. I love to ask that. So before I jump in again, I wanted to just introduce you to our agents. So we have Copado AI, the platform, but now it's agentic in nature, where we have the plan agent, which really acts like a business administrator, a big business admin. So we have a BA, we have a build agent. So for the developers on the call, it's going to help enhance your capability to develop. It's going to act like a developer, a co-pilot for you, somebody sitting shotgun. Test agent specializes in testing, Copado robotic testing specifically, but all things testing, strategies, etc. And so for those QA managers on the phone, those folks associated with QA, you now have somebody riding shotgun with you. Release agent, it's going to act like a release manager. We can tap into Copado, CI/CD platform, understand the releases, etc. So again, just asking questions and it'll do the research for you. And the operate agent, think about that as really post-deployment, but also change management focused. And I'd like to show you some examples of change management today. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the roles here above and beyond the slide. We're going to see them live, but I wanted to at least introduce you to the team of agents. And keep in mind that whenever you open up Copado AI and bring that to your laptop, your desktop, you're inviting a team of agents to work with you. So everybody on your team will now have a team of agents working with them. Or if they open up 2 or 3 tabs of Copado AI, they have now 2 or 3 teams working with them. And so like Benioff said, you're going to start managing digital teams as we evolve. All right, so high level, if we step back a little bit, we've talked about Copado AI. We've touched on the efficiency gains, the productivity gains, some quotes that have captured. But what we're really looking at is innovation, right, and the innovation velocity. And we think about the SDLC and all of the stages within it. This kind of gives you a broader picture of where Copado positions itself within the SDLC. Obviously, we are an end-to-end solution purpose-built for Salesforce, both CI/CD, our testing platform, our now Copado AI platform as well. And so now you'll see that it's powered by Copado AI within the SDLC itself, the workflow, and within the platform. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just at this point jump over to Copado itself AI. We're going to go ahead and run through some use cases, user story generation, manual test scripts. I'd like to talk about the org intelligence that Zach's mentioned, the power of that which it deliver. And then, given some time, I'd like to touch base on robotic testing and testing agents, because as we evolve, agents may be part of your future. And so it's good to know exactly how Copado's positioned itself to not only deliver, but more importantly, test those agents to ensure that they're behaving in the manner in which they were designed. All right, I'm going to go ahead and swing that off for now. And I'm going to start here with Copado AI. And so for those folks that haven't seen Copado AI, I'm going to give you a quick high-level flow, and I want to be cognizant of time to allow for some Q&A perhaps afterwards as well. So this is Copado AI. We have multiple workspaces. I'm not going to get into the details of the tour itself, but as you can see, this is familiar for any AI platform that you're used to. You have your chats on the far left. We have our workspace here. This particular workspace, just so you know, Copado AI, and I think it's important that we talk a little bit about the workings behind it for this audience, is within the workspace itself, we can ground all of the knowledge within, for your own documentation. And so if I jump into, and let me jump back to where I wanted to go here, Express One, perfect. If I click into the workspace details behind, you're going to see knowledge base. And what I'm showing here, and I would be remiss if I did, is you are able to upload documentation into Copado AI that now grounds your agents specific to perhaps your developer standards and guidelines, to how you want your release notes written, your user story guidelines. So keep in mind that as we are running through these exercises and showing you specific use cases, Copado AI isn't just, as you would with other solutions, just making things up on its own. It's grounding within your best practices and how you want your output, want your output conducted. And so as an example, if we look at this new chat here, I'm going to open up. I'm just going to click one more time. You'll see, for example, user story guidelines, how we want those written, so on and so forth. Now let's go ahead, and I wanted to talk about user story generation and show you the power of that. Imagine having a conversation with a stakeholder, and they're communicating to you a certain feature enhancement that they wanted. This is what we're looking for, something to enhance a certain application, something along those lines, but basically something you've captured in a BRD. There's a requirement coming down the pipe. Now with Copado AI, it's going to change how, for example, user stories are generated. In fact, it's going to change the way stories are generated, how you can ideate. But I want to show you just an example of the power of Copado AI. Now, I mentioned, for example, how you can ground your Copado AI platform in your knowledge. And so in this case here, we uploaded a call transcript. It was a conversation that you typically have, a BA with a stakeholder and user looking for some enhancement, a requirement, some sort of feature functionality. Well, what we did is we captured that in a transcript and uploaded that to Copado AI. Now, Copado right now, I've just asked it to summarize that feature discussed in the call transcript, and it's doing so. So you can see the power of Copado AI to quickly understand exactly what that transcript is. In this case, it's a case escalation feature, just a high-level summary. It understands what it is, the purpose, so on and so forth. Now, as a program manager, I may want to know, look, what's the level of effort all up, all in to deliver this particular feature? No matter how small that component, that request is, or how large, I'm just asking Copado, look, do not create a full, complete list of user stories now, but just give me a simple list of stories to build this case escalation feature. I want it to be a framework, a high-level understanding of what it's going to take to deliver it. Keep all user stories size 5 or smaller, so again, it would be aligned to the Agile framework. And what I'm doing here is just asking Copado to kind of give me a rough order of magnitude, if you will, just a level of effort that I know as a program manager. What does this look like from an effort perspective?
Hey, John, if you could, remember to just zoom in and out, I think that'd be helpful, just because of the screen frame.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. First, you can see the logic. I appreciate that, Zach. Thank you. First, you can see the logic of how Copado AI is thinking. And now here it is. We have the user story framework for this. And if we touch base, we're looking at the configuration, the config and setup. It's talking about access control. It's organizing these stories in a manner that I can easily understand. And so now, within a minute, we have a really good idea of what it's going to take to deliver this from a story standpoint that's 5 or smaller. So it's a heck of an acceleration to do so. So again, not going to ask for any answers, but if you think about what we've done is we've captured a feature request via just a normal conversation. That transcript was not formatted in any manner. We uploaded to Copado AI, the knowledge base. Because of that, then Copado AI has a full understanding of what that feature request is. We now have a framework of stories to deliver, and those frameworks are organized, those stories organized by section. And we've done that in a matter of a few minutes.
Hey, John,
yes.
One question somebody is asking is, are there guidelines regarding how to format the documentation used to ground agents? Are there limitations regarding the amount of content you can upload? I don't believe there is, but I would rather have you, confirm.
No, great question. So the limit, I think, is 100 megs per a single document. Haven't seen that yet. Overall, you can upload as much as you want to to Copado AI and the database. So we do not have a limit there. In terms of the formatting, we do have, and I don't have the list in front of me, but you can upload in any sort of format. I guess the simple question is you do not have to format in any sort of way. Human natural language is fine. And I can even share you an example of my user story documents if it's written in a normal fashion where you'd see any other document is organized, right? With a header here, some bullet points, so on and so forth. So no prompt engineering or any funky way of writing out that documentation of the guidelines to follow. In terms of standards, it could be Word doc, Excel, PDF, PNG, so a wide spectrum of documents that Copado AI can ingest that you can upload to. All right. Perfect. Keep those questions coming too, by the way. I want to make this as interactive as possible. Now, I also uploaded user story guidelines, as you know, and you can see here Copado recognized it. Here they are. It understands how we want our stories written. And so if you recall, one of those quotes was the development team came back to our team lead and said, don't know what you're doing, but please keep it up. Because what you're going to see here is I'm asking Copado AI now, my plan agent, to generate the first user story for this particular feature request. We have the framework. We've summarized it. Now I'm going to have Copado AI build out just the first user story for us. And this will give you an idea of, again, the quality and the consistency of the output. And so that's what Copado AI is going to do right now. Now, once the story is generated, what we're going to do now is also then look to generate a manual test script. We can talk about Copado, the test agent coming in, generating a robotic test script specific to Copado robotic testing. But we're going to skip that for today, because after this, what I'd like to do then is also shift gears to then our org intelligence. But let's just take a look at the output here. This user story is being generated to our standards. So every story will be written in the same manner. Now, while that's going to go ahead and continue, what I'd like to do is introduce you to another org we're going to be jumping on in a moment. And that's over here. And this is going to be, we're going to connect in a moment. This will be connected to another environment where I'm going to connect into and show you an app that we have behind the scenes. All right, so now it's going to go ahead and continue with that. Perfect. 11:28. I'm going to shift gears now for a moment as that's generating and have some fun with org intelligence, because this is something that, again, 2 years ago, we would not have been able to have this particular conversation. So forgive me as I open up a workspace here. And I'm hoping the outage is not affecting me today. So there we go.
What outage would that be?
Oh, there was a Cloudflare outage, so I was not able to get into some applications this morning. Don't know if you had experienced the same, but it affected quite a bit at some point. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to take a look at the integrations here. I'm going to show you that we are connected. I'm going to show you, Zach, I'm going to show everybody here our new next level Copado AI, the next release, because what I've been showing right now is just our current state GA. But I'd like to just take it a step further here like we did at Dreamforce, which is taking it up to the next level. Okay, pardon me. Let's see here. All workspaces. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now, we generated user stories. Oh, I forgot to do the manual test script. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. You can see the summaries, the user story summary created right here. Title, the acceptance criteria, the functional requirements, so on and so forth. Before we jump to org intelligence, I promised manual test creation. Let's go ahead and do that. Because again, very powerful when you think about what we're able to do within a matter of minutes. So right now, Copado AI Plan Agent is specifically looking at what it already knows, right? It understands the feature request, that case escalation via the interview and the transcript that was uploaded. Copado AI, it's generated a framework of user stories to deliver that feature. It's written out the first full user story. And then now we're going to ask it to generate a manual test script for the user to perform just user acceptance testing in a declarative fashion. And I'm asking it to provide step by step. So you can see the prompts are nothing more than just human natural language prompts that you typically have a conversation with. It's as if I have another resource that I can just simply ask, hey, can you go ahead and do this, please? And Agorn, we're managing now, in this case, the plan agent to do so. And you can see it's on its way writing the test script as we speak. Now, for sake of time, Zach, I'm going to jump over, let this finish up, which will be probably within a minute, which is very powerful because of what we've accomplished within a matter of 10 minutes here, a framework, a story, and manual test script. Now, before I do, I'm going to jump anything in the chat or Q&A that I need to address before. I'm just going to take a quick look.
The question is this using any LLM? And if so, what LLM?
Perfect. No, great question. Valid question. Yes. So we have Anthropic and Gemini on the back end here that's generating the responses. A couple of things to note, because we look at security as a competitive advantage. As you can see from our CI/CD, we're FedRAMP, and we are continuing that with our Copado AI. The LLMs that we use to process or generate the responses are stateless, meaning that nothing ever gets exposed to them, nothing is ever trained. They are only used to generate responses based on the knowledge, the groundings that the context that we level within the RAG architecture of our database. So if you mentioned the knowledge update, the knowledge base I shared, we can upload documentation, user story guidelines, the transcript, things of that nature. What we do with that vector database, it's uploaded to that. We send over the embeddings. Everything's fully encrypted. Point being with this is the way it's designed. Anthropic and Gemini, they never see any of the prompts, any of your information. Nothing's ever exposed or trained to them. In fact, we, Copado, can't see your prompts, see what you've uploaded. So I'm taking that answer a little bit step further than just a simple Anthropic and Gemini. The security is an important aspect. So thank you for that question. I'd like to get ahead of that conversation. Real quick, look at this. We have a manual test case for this user story. We have the description, and I'll zoom in a little bit. Thank you, Zach. And you can see exactly how this was written. We have the steps included. And now this could be easily handed over to someone in UAT to conduct their UAT testing, or take it a step further with Copado CI/CD and our robotic testing explorer. They could follow this script, and then that would be the last time a human would have to run this script, because Copado Explorer would capture those screen clicks and then automatically put that into a robotic test script. So now it becomes part of your regression suite. All right, so that was a lot to cover. What we've done in about 15, 20 minutes, it's quite a bit. And again, take a lot longer we'd be still typing out that first user story or trying to put our arms around the framework, in my opinion, of what to deliver. All right, now let's have even more fun. I'm going to go ahead and show you this particular org. It is integrated to, you'll see here, APO. Let's focus on org intelligence now. We just wrapped up generating stories, framework, a specific user story 1, manual test script for that story, all within about 10, 15 minutes. Now let's focus on org intelligence and the power that it brings. I'm going to introduce you to an application. This is our travel app within Copado. It's a real app. If I wanted to create, if I was traveling, I want to submit for approval. It manages, who's traveling, the cost, so on and so forth. A lot of companies have these. You might have one internally within yours as well. Org intelligence. I'm going to go ahead and use this as today's use case. Imagine that you were brought in, you're in a project, you're going to be enhancing perhaps this application, you're going to be building on it. You have to better understand. Well, let's take a look at now Copado AI, and specifically how it operates within the platform now with org intelligence and the ability to understand everything within that environment. Let's take a look to focus on that particular app. Now, this is one of those questions. I'm going to prompt it. Very simple prompt, as you'll see. I'm going to ask the build agent, which is really a senior developer here. Tell me everything you know about the travel approval app. That's the object within this org. I'm asking it to give me all components, flows, metadata, so I fully understand it before enhancing it. So this is an example of now Copado, and to what Zach mentioned earlier, taking it to the next level where we're now showcasing org intelligence. Imagine having a team member on your team and where you just ask them a question about your environment. what's, we're going to be building out this travel app, for example. Tell me everything about it. Imagine the ability to have somebody that knows everything about it, and then they can just quickly respond to your particular questions. That's what we're showcasing here is the team of agents. I brought them in just via this tab, my platform, and I'm asking specifically the build agent to tell me everything about that application, that particular object. And so you can see it's looking at the permissions. You can see the object. You can see the logic, permissions. My permissions. Now, granted, I don't have all permissions, so it's probably going to hold me back on some, but you're going to see the power anyways. And now you can see here our next generation Copado AI, where we have our artifact window on the far side. So now we can generate documentation and very easily version it, and of course package that up for deliverable.
Hey, John, if somebody, were to ask the question, what's the difference between, this and, some of the other, AI, code building tools out there, like GitHub Copilot, for example, what would you say to that question?
No, and it's actually a popular question, Zach. So here's the difference, and I would say high level, if you think about it, and it's a main difference, is we're different than, say, a Copilot, even a Grok, an OpenAI, Agentforce, any of those solutions. Because if you think about it, those are going to be standalone solutions that may focus on one point in time within the SDLC. What we do is Copado, we are different, one, in a couple of ways. One, we address the entire SDLC with our agents. Plan agent for intake planning, for example, build agent for developing, test agent for testing, right? So each of those has a specialty. But even more so, and really with now org intelligence, a huge differentiator. One, as you see, our agents know everything about your environment. In this case, that travel app that I showed you, which is a real travel app. So we know everything about this, your environment via org intelligence, but also our agents communicate with each other. So whereas a Grok or a GitHub Copilot, et cetera, they'll do one thing point in time, there's nobody to communicate with to then improve the efficiencies, the productivity gains, the teamwork that you would get from our agents. Whereas here you can see our build agent understands everything about this particular app. But now, and this is very important, Zach, is it can communicate with the other agents. And in fact, I'm going to show that in a bit. But that was a huge differentiator that no other solution can compete with.
Okay. Thank you. If anybody has any follow-up questions about that, feel free to put them in the Q&A chat.
Yes, no, valid question, very popular, and I love that. I love the answer that we're able to provide, quite frankly, because it's a unique positioning within this market.
I'm glad we had an answer for it.
Yeah, exactly, a good answer too. I love it. It's identified the custom fields. Now, it did highlight access limitations because, again, Copado doesn't want me building on that app, but it identified custom fields. If we scroll down, flows and automation. I believe there's even an inactive one that I highlighted. Yep. So we know the flows associated with it. The apex. The features, functionality. Here's the components.
If you're in one team, working in, an org, and there's other teams working on the orgs, this type of visibility is going to be invaluable.
It is. Talk about shifting left. Identifying everything up front before you really start working on it. That's how you want to go ideally. But in this case, that takes time. And again, getting back to that original question, how long would this have taken you or somebody on your team to do? We know it wasn't 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Look at this data model relationship between the app, that object, and others. It's even recommendation for enhancement. If you recall that one slide, we talk about intelligent recommendations. Here it is, based on that real app that I showed you, living and breathing. Now,
do agents transfer and assign each other with tasks on their own?
We're not there yet, but I do want to show a video of our agents communicating based on what we can do with the agents in terms of directing them with prompts. But that is where we're going, Zach, is full autonomy. We'll always have a human in the loop. So even today, you might see it asking me, hey, are you sure? I'd like you to please please say yes to proceed. But that is where we're going, full autonomy, where then they could take that request, generate code, so on and so forth. Now, let's just say we asked for a visual of the workflow for that particular application. Again, I understand that workflow. I use this particular app, but net new, we want to understand how does this work. So I'm just going to continue this conversation within my platform to generate that workflow. Now at 11:41, I'm going to be cognizant of time. I want to switch gears to change management. So we're giving you a little bit of insight into org intelligence. How long would that have taken your team member to go ahead and identify all the flows, the code, the fields, etc.? And now we're going to ask it for a workflow. And right now, Copado is going through, building it out, and then it'll generate that workflow when it's done really analyzing the entire app. Oh, and it decided, I love pushing the envelope with the new, there we go. Check out the workflow here. So we know, and Zach can attest, right, having filled these out, this is the flow for it. So again, I asked the question, how long would this have taken somebody on your team to start building out this documentation, these deliverables, as part of the analysis phase? Now, we could create a data dictionary for it, though, at 10:43. That takes a few minutes. I would like to shift gears, though, and again, talk about our ability to communicate amongst each other. The build agent's been doing some analysis on that environment. But now let's hand it over to our operate agent. Pretend that we're going to create a job training. So imagine, right, we're enhancing a particular feature functionality. Pretend it was this application. Pretend we want to drive adoption. We want to generate some change management documentation, which, based on my experience as a program manager, this can be tough to do, right? Bringing in somebody to train them, have them generate those deliverables, right? We want to drive adoption, awareness, training. A lot goes into change management. But now Copado AI can take that really off their plate and be really an additional resource to your change management team. As you can see, it understands fully that application. It understands the code. It understands the workflow. Now I'm asking our operate agent to generate some change management. In this case, a user manual, a training guide. This one's always jaw-dropping. I know personally it always took a lot of time to generate change management documentation, training material, but the speed and the quality in which we're able to do now with our operate agent, for example, which is building off the knowledge from the build agent, so there's that communication within the team. The speed and the quality is just amazing at what we're able to do. Let's go and take a quick look, and you can see here these artifacts. You can easily jump between the two. Now let's take a look at our user training manual. Introduction. Helps you request, track, and manage business. It understands it fully. Key benefits, usage guide. To submit a travel request, it's giving us instructions. Best practices, a lot here. Some frequently asked questions. Now, one of my favorites, and this is just, again, kind of just shows the power, because this would take time to do, is how about we create a 10-question quiz for users? Maybe we want to drive adoption that way, get folks really engaged to understand whatever this new feature functionality is that we're delivering, in this case, the travel app. Well, how about we just have some questions put together for us, one right answer, and of course, it'll come with a key. So here we go. Now we have a set of questions that we can easily interact with our end users, test it for understanding, etc., to again drive adoption and usage of this new application, this travel app that we're here.
Is there going to be a quiz after today's demo?
There will be. Everybody will get that in their email, and it's due by 5 p.m. End of business. Now this is beautiful. We can do a lot more. I've had it create a why document, help us drive adoption, sell folks on why they should use it, right? Make them want to use it. How do we do that? In just a natural language, Copado AI was able to do so. All right, now I want to jump over to Copado robotic testing, but my last one here is a data dictionary. This is something that is heavy, takes a lot of work, and documentation typically for the travel approval system. I'm just going to have it create a data dictionary for it. Now that's a heavy one, and that's something that, again, don't need a response here, but if we were to put together a data dictionary on an existing app, for example, how long would that take? In this case, we're going to let my agent do the work for me. Meanwhile, I'm going to show you Copado robotic testing and speaking of agents, how do we test agents? Because we may not be there yet on this call, but Salesforce agents, Agentforce is coming. And so the question is, how do we test it to make sure that they are reliable and performing in the way that they do? Oh, and this it's coming out of the data dictionary now. I'm going to let that finish up. Actually, no, let's just look at this together. It'll only take 1 minute, and then we will jump over to testing agents, and then we'll leave a few minutes at the end. So, Jack, you had asked the question earlier, how long would this take?
Just zoom in a little.
I'd love to ask the question. Regardless of what we're showing, whether it's user story generation, manual test scripts, we haven't even brought in our test agent to generate test automation scripts on robotic testing, but that's another time saver, huge gain. And so with teams, think about everybody on this call. If you had this team working for you, every time you opened a tab, you had a suite of agents working for you. For the developers who maybe need to document the application that they're building on, the BAs that are having to generate user stories based on perhaps an enhancement, an existing app that you're going to enhance, removing or taking that analysis off your plate and having the AI agent via org intelligence do so. Don't have to answer the question, but I think we know the answer. How long will it take? A heck of a lot longer would probably be the answer than what Copado AI build agent is doing here as it's generating a data dictionary within the far right. And as we know, data dictionaries are not easy to generate or create. All right, now after this, it's 11:48. I'm going to jump over and just talk a little bit high level on how Copado robotic testing with Copado, you can test AI. It's interesting. It's a great conversation. I love it because it takes AI to test AI, and we can talk about why in a moment. But real quick, let's just take a look at this data dictionary. We have the object overview, API names, field definitions. Forgive me if I'm scrolling too. Usage notes. We are understanding everything about this particular app in a matter of minutes with a simple prompt. If we wanted to enhance this even further, Copado AI generating the stories, and to your point about how are we different, Zach, Copado AI then would take this knowledge of this particular application and leverage it when it generates stories. The build agent would use the existing code, for example, when it generates code, so on and so forth. So again, a huge differentiator between us and other folks in the market. All right, so let's stay at 11:50. You can see the power of Copado AI, the org intelligence, understanding everything within the environment, unrivaled in the market. All right, I'm just going to shift gears for a moment here, and the last few minutes back, I'd like to talk about just testing agents with Copado AI, the power of this, and then I'm going to kick it back to you for final thoughts.
Sounds great.
All right, so Agentforce is coming. We know that. The agentic world is here. Testing it, though, how do we do so? I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the slides. I think it's just more important to show you an actual test run, but it's important that we run end-to-end testing. So you can test with Salesforce right there. They can test more of a unit testing when it comes to agents. As you'll see here with Copado, our Copado robotic testing platform can test the entire end-to-end workflow. We will simulate real-life interaction. It's multi-turn. It won't be testing just one aspect or kind of how it's built. You'll see how it's behaving, and that's what we're really testing. It's testing for sentiment, accuracy, hallucinations, things of that nature. Want to see if it understands the context. Is it unbiased? And high level, this is about what you're going to see in a moment here when I show you what a test is. We're going to open up an agent and interact with it. We're going to open it up. We're going to send some prompts to it. You're going to see that in a moment. What we do is we then capture the result of that agent. So as we interact, we're going to capture the result, the response, and put that back into Copado AI with the expected result. In Copado AI, Copado Robotic Testing, married with our Copado AI, which is, of course, embedded in the platform, is going to be the judge on those responses within the agent. So it's pretty simple logically. We're just going to interact with the agent. We're going to take its response, and we're going to use AI to go ahead and judge that response. Because if you recall, agents are non-deterministic, as an example. If I asked everybody on this call, hey, how's your day going? I might get good, fine, fantastic. They all mean the same thing, but how do you judge that? Well, AI is how you can do that at scale. So real quick, I'm going to just show you a test performed live. And here we go. Let me just start live testing. And we're going to execute this test on the side, and I just want to show you exactly it operates. There we go. I think I had a little timeout due to a little idle, but that's okay. I'm just going to run them all. And I may have timed out from a testing perspective over here. So let's give it one more. Let me give it a quick refresh. All right, while that's doing that, what I'm going to do is shift gears. Zach, I'm going to shift gears. I don't know if the Cloudflare is giving me a little hiccup. We'll find out in a moment. What I'd like to do is just show a quick video of Copado Org Intelligence in action as kind of the crescendo to this particular demonstration.
Okay. How do AI release agents improve release velocity?
Yes. So release agents can do a lot. Now, from a velocity standpoint, I'll look at it from planning, developing. The agents themselves, as you build out, I'll give you one example. It sounds like you may have Copado CI/CD platform that you're leveraging. If not, that's okay. We can still tap into what's being built. But Copado, the release agent, leverage with Copado CI/CD, you're able to generate a promotion, for example, from Copado AI. It can analyze that promotion. It can tap into all of the user stories within that particular promotion or release, if you will, using those terms synonymously. I'll give you an example too, and this is very powerful. Imagine you deploy to production. And by the way, my screen is frozen for a reason here. You're about to see something live, but I wanted to answer this question. Imagine deploying to production, say a set of 20 stories. The deployment was successful, but now there's something a little buggy in prod. Something's not behaving properly, but it was prior to that particular release. This is something that I used as a proof of concept, teed it up for a client, where we then went into the release manager, the release agent, and asked it specifically, listen, this deployment was successful, this promotion, and it included a ton of metadata, other stories. We said, now something else is is misbehaving. It's miscalculating something. What happened? Please tell us what. Do the analysis. The client that we did this for, we set up this scenario for, it would take them about a day or two to unravel. In this case, the release agent quickly analyzed it, tapped in, found the problem, found the story, found the code, and then gave suggested recommendations to fix it. So that's one example of the release agent and improving velocity. All right, let me go ahead and let's play this. I'm going to maximize it with 1156. I'm going to go to 2x. But what you're going to see here is We just asked the feature on a travel app. Hey, we want this travel app, basically the existing one you saw. Simple checkbox. If true, do this. Auto-populate this. If null, ignore it. And then it just says kick off the intake play. Just a simple prompt. Not generate stories, not do anything. Well, what happens here? You're going to see all the agents working together. Behind the scenes, we have these agents, one summarizing that request, which we just did. So it now summarizes it, grounding the conversation in that feature request. It just put together a user story framework, about 7 or 8 stories. Now the plan agent is then generating the first user story here. And in a moment, you're going to see it. Here we go. The build agent building on the feature request, the user story framework, and that first story is now generating the code for that first user story all in front of our eyes. Now in a moment here, and I'm going to fast forward for time, the build agent generates the code. Now it hands back to the plan agent, who's now generating a manual test case for it with multiple scenarios, by the way. Then we kick over to the our test agent. If you recall, one of the agents is a test agent, and it's Copado robotic test script. When it's completed, then it hands over, looks at now this back to the build agent to now generate some documentation, architectural documentation, solution design doc. We can see, for example, these artifacts are being created. So there's a lot we can do here with Copado AI, and I wanted to show you that power here by just a simple prompt and having now all the agents work together. And if you look right here, for example, all of those 8s, that number 8, for example, here, all of these are deliverables, documentation that our agents generated for you. So I wanted to end on that, Zach, to show everybody the power of org intelligence and our agents communicating that knowledge of what's in the environment before I kicked it back to you.
Awesome.
So with that, I'm going to kick it back to you, my friend.
Okay, awesome. Let me see here. Looks like there may be, is there any other questions in here? Looks like, I know we don't have a lot of time left. I think we've answered all of the questions. I would say that, major theme here today that I want people thinking about based on what you've seen, if your existing team could handle twice the workload without adding headcount, the question is, what new services or programs would you launch? Because, from what, we hear working within the public sector ecosystem, yes, everybody wants to be able to deliver, modernization, digital transformation, implementations, less expensively, but at the same time, it's so much more about getting these services and these programs, launched, out the door, delivered, right? That's really, where the rubber meets the road. So if you could handle twice the workload without adding headcount, how many new services and programs could you launch? Okay. Thanks to everyone who attended today's webinar. As a follow-up, we'll provide everyone with a recording of today's webinar. We'll probably provide some additional information on Copado's Intelligent DevOps platform. If you're interested to take a deeper dive with us or discuss how you could potentially trial our AI and org intelligence, you know where to find us. Okay. So with that said, thank you again, everybody. Have a great afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you out there. Thanks, John.
Thanks, everybody.